Let's bring in Forbes Media Chairman and Editor-in-Chief, Steve Forbes. Always great to have you with us. The market shrugged it off today. Intraday, the Dow was over 47,000, although it paired those gains to close, but still up 200 and change. So right now, shrugging off this impact. But if it goes longer, we don't get the CPI report. We start to get confused about what the Federal Reserve might do. We're expecting 2 more rate cuts this year. I could see the market start to say, okay, we don't like this.
I think the markets are shrugging it off because they realize the Federal Reserve doesn't need that data to make the proper decision. It's very clear interest rates have been held for too high.
But he could use it as a crutch.
That says a lot about Chair Powell,
right.
and is playing politics instead of doing what's right for the economy. And what the data's out there. The dollar is weak. That's not good. We need to shore that up. I think we're going to need also another tax cut for personal incomes and the like. So that's not going to be dependent on the data. The ADP came out with a jobs report showing the labor market is a little wobbly. So we know that things need some bucking up, you might say. And so we don't need the data specifically, but I hope they don't use that as a crutch to punt,
right, exactly.
like Charlie Brown.
But let's not get too depressed, because we still have all these extraordinary incentives brought to us by the Trump administration. And by the way, we had a couple of shutdowns in the first Trump administration. During the duration of those shutdowns, the markets went up. In fact, the last one, I believe it was in December of 2018, the markets ended up 10%. And part of that was because we had just passed a tax cut. We had all the same kind of deregulation activity that we have now. And I think the markets looking forward realize that we're going to end up, because of these incentives, with a much stronger economy. Don't you think?
Yeah, and reducing the government. The other thing that shouldn't be overlooked is the Yankees won last night.
I thought you were going to slip it in a little easier, but yes. But the point is, not that everything is bright. There are some soft spots, but generally speaking, we haven't seen the effect of the trillions of dollars of investments coming in, of all the tax cuts, all of the things that they offer, and of course the deregulations.
Yeah, and the key thing is the deregulations, which have been a huge burden on the economy. You know, the typical manufacturer regulations cost $30,000 per employee versus $5,000 or $6,000 of taxes. And so we reduce those burdens, and we'll once again have a manufacturing colossus. China doesn't charge $30,000 in regulations per employee, I guarantee you that. So those are self-inflicted wounds. Those are now, burdens are being removed, finally.
Gotcha.
And so with the tax cut, but the tax cut is good, but we need more. Let's do more. We know reducing the burdens on people, by golly, they flourish. And when they flourish, we all flourish. And the government gets more revenue, which I hope they'll return to we the people.
Steve, while we have you, I want to get your opinion on this. Kimberly Strassel, writing for the Wall Street Journal, quote, "Knowledge and courage would require Republicans to explain to the public that most of the Obamacare premium increases that are coming in 2026 are a result not of those expiring bump ups, but because Obamacare overall is failing." And I'll add to that, because there are 2 issues at play here to the tune of over $1 trillion. And that's what these Democrats are fighting for. They're fighting for those subsidies because they don't want this plan to fail. And those were emergency subsidies enacted during COVID. But also the big beautiful bill tighten the requirements to be able to get on the healthcare rolls, to get on Medicaid, so illegals can't get access to it as easily. And so they're trying to reverse policy that's already been implemented.
Well, and that's a very important point. Medicaid has been abused.
Yeah.
And it happened during the crisis, so now we want to get back to where we were before in terms of having a program which was originally designed to help people who needed it and weren't getting it in the marketplace. So the Republicans are right. And the danger is, which he points out, is the Republicans will cave because they don't want to be seen as, oh, you're against health care for those who need it.
Do you think they will cave, though? Because this is President Trump we're talking about here. And I know there are a lot of other Republicans that are making decisions.
You know where the Democrats are, and you got a lot of Republicans who are wobbly, as Margaret Thatcher would say. And we saw that in terms of the proposals of bringing back some of the green programs, which the big, beautiful bill finally put a stop to. And once those programs are in place, very, very hard
What
to
about
remove.
Well, like
workfare?
the subsidy, too.
Yeah. What about workfare? I mean, it's been very successful. It was successful when Clinton passed the workfare bill that changed welfare, that if you were an able-bodied male, you could go out and work. You you know, you would have to work instead of just staying home and stuffing your face with food and collecting welfare checks. That turned things around dramatically in this country, and that measure was put into the bill that was passed, the big beautiful bill. But that's another thing that Democrats are now trying to take out, to allow people who are able-bodied, who don't need government assistance in that area, not to be able to get Medicaid.
Yeah, they want more dependence. More dependence, they feel, is more power for the center. And that's what we have to fight. And the thing is, when they say it's temporary, that was the danger during COVID.
Oh, yeah.
If they say something's temporary, that's government speak for permanent.
And the problem
we got to put a stop to it. And the Republicans have to go out and be forthright. We're against Medicaid fraud.
Right.
We're against those who shouldn't be on the rolls to do it. We don't want a guy who's perfectly able to go out and get a job taking money that should be going to people who actually need it.
Yeah.
How about that?
Right.
And I'm glad you brought up that temporary, because nothing is temporary. And once you give it, then it becomes very difficult to explain to the constituents why it's got to go away, which is why it's such a slippery slope.
And that's why they got to go for another tax cut, reducing tax rates so people see it in their paychecks. We're getting more, not just more investment out there, but in their own daily lives.
All right. Courage inside the Beltway is very hard to find, even among Republicans.
Yeah.
So I would not, I know the president will stand tough and tall, but I'm not sure about some of his Republican colleagues.
And the Fed needs to protect that dollar.
Yes. How about that? A dollar you can trust.
Yeah.
Hey.
Thank you so much.
Good as
Great to
gold.
see you.